Hello teachers, and welcome to this video on how to use TPR in the classroom. Now in this video we will discuss three things. Number one, what is TPR? Number two, why is it important? And number three, how can we use it? Okay, so first off, what is TPR? TPR stands for Total Physical Response. The process actually mimics the way that infants learn their first language. The purpose of TPR is to create a brain link between speech and movement or action. So let's look at one example of how we can observe or use TPR. Let's look at this sentence as an example. The little bunny looked for his mom and dad. He was very sad. TPR. The little bunny looked for his mom and dad. He was very sad. Did you see how I acted out the words little, bunny, looked, and sad? This is TPR, and it's something that you've probably been using without realizing it. So that brings us to our next question. Why is TPR important? Well, we have to remember that our student does not understand every single word that we say. So by using TPR, we help them understand things that they've never even heard before. To help emphasize the importance and the effectiveness of TPR, watch the following example in another language. Hola, me llamo Wendy. Yo tengo dos ojos, dos orejas, una boca y una nariz. Did you have any idea of what I just said? Well, if you don't speak Spanish, probably not. Now let's watch it again, but this time with TPR. Hola, yo soy Wendy. Yo tengo dos orejas, dos ojos, una nariz y una boca. How about now? Even though you don't understand the language, you probably understood what I just said. My name is Wendy, I have two ears, I have two eyes, one mouth, and one nose. See how effective TPR can be? Now TPR is super important to engage younger learners. They will not be engaged if you just sit at the camera and talk to them. No. So TPR is very important so that you can get the student engaged, get them involved, and it also helps the student understand what you expect of them. For example, how are you? Good, awesome. By cupping my ears using TPR, the student knows what I expect from them. TPR also helps the student ingrain the word in their memory. By having them repeat the word and doing the action at the same time will help them really remember what this word means. So that's one of the most important and key parts of using TPR. This brings me to point number three. How to use TPR. Well, there's many kinds of ways we can do it, but we're going to discuss two main ways. Number one, giving instruction. We just gave an example, we're going to elaborate more on that. And number two, teaching new vocabulary concepts. Number one is giving instructions. So we don't want our students just to watch us do the actions, we want them to be constantly involved. As I mentioned before, we can use TPR to help the student know when we expect them to answer or repeat a phrase. Let's look at GK Lesson 1 for an example. Here, the student has to repeat the lion or the zebra. So after you read the phrase, you can say, the lion. Very good, good. And you can even ask them questions. Hey, do you like lions? You can also use TPR to instruct the student to stand up or sit down. Also to listen, like, what animal is this? Listen. Or even, hey, okay, let's dance. Using TPR will help the student know right away what you expect of them. Okay, so this brings us to point B, teaching vocabulary concepts. There are endless ways to use TPR to teach new vocabulary to your students, but we are now going to discuss 5 key steps that will help you apply this in your lessons. Number 1, prepare. Select the vocabulary you want to emphasize. Get your props, get your pictures, really think what kind of TPR or visual aids you can use to teach this word. In this case, I'm going to be teaching the verb bike. Number 2, teacher modeling. Say the vocabulary word to your student. And while you do this, really try to use facial expressions, gestures, and actions. Act out the word. In this case, I want to teach my student, let's bike. So I can say, hey, let's bike. Really try to act out the word, make it funny. Maybe you can even crash your bike. Really try to find ways to illustrate the word, ingrain it in their mind. Student modeling. Have the student mimic the action. So let's bike. Come on, let's bike. And as they are doing the action, tell them to repeat the word, let's bike. Good, let's bike. And maybe you can even make it fun and say like, let's bike slowly. Let's bike quickly. That brings us to step number 4, writing. Write the word out for the student so they can make the connection between the written word and the oral response. So when they see the word bike, have them repeat, bike, bike, bike. Bike, bike, bike. Step number 5, review and practice. Now this point is very, very important to have the word ingrained in their mind. And there's many ways you can do this. You can play games. I like to play Simon Says, for example. I can say, Simon says, hop like a frog. Simon says, ride your bike. Simon says, go to sleep. And you can use this for any vocabulary word. For example, say you're teaching animal words like bunny or lion. You can say, what animal am I? Ah, yes, that's correct. I'm a bunny. You can even encourage the student to act out the words themselves and you guess what they're doing. By keeping these 5 steps in mind, you will easily be able to incorporate TPR in your classes and you will see the effectiveness and the wonderful results that it brings. As you can see from this video, TPR is really a must for online teaching. It helps the student to feel less frustrated when they are hearing a new word that they do not know. It also helps the student to learn and ingrain in their minds these verbs or new vocabulary words. And it also helps them know what's expected of them by giving instructional TPR. Well, that concludes our video on how to use TPR in the classroom. I am positive you will have wonderful results if you set a goal to really improve in using your TPR in your classes. Thank you so much for watching this video and happy teaching.